There are so many awesome systems, all with unique and fantastic games. It's like children. It's impossible to pick your favorite, despite them being an absolute mess. Chances are, if you're a collector, behind your TV is a Lovecraftian nightmare hellscape void of power cables, AV cords, HDMIs, converter boxes, RF switches, power strips, sensor bars, and whatever the hell that is. If only there was a way to condense this into a state that you would be comfortable showing your mother. That's where our good friends at Hyperkin come in. The Retron 5 is a clone emulator system that plays NES, SNES, Genesis, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance, as well as all of their Japanese counterparts, all on one system. You heard me right. One system, one HDMI cable, one power cord, 9 systems. 12 if you get a converter peripheral. The Retron 5 has been around since 2014 in one form or another, performing miracle exorcisms on your entertainment centers, but is it still worth spending the $200 on today? This is the recent Hyper Beach Special Edition that comes in this gorgeous teal and pink color scheme, as well as with an additional Hyperkin Scout SNES clone controller, also in that same color scheme. In the box you get the console, the Retron controller, the Scout, power cord as well as international adapters, HDMI cable, and a micro USB to charge the Retron controller, as well as your manuals and a Hyperkin logo sticker. In 2022, the design of the Retron 5 seems a little out of date with their more recent design language. A lot of their newer consoles have undergone design overhauls, making things blockier, simpler, and adding a little chopped corner with a light-up Hyperkin logo. This special edition would have been a great opportunity to revisit the design of this console and homogenize it with the rest of the Retron lineup. But overall, the console looks pretty sleek. Along the top of the console, you have the ports for all of your different cartridges, along with the Game Boy port at the front. Along each side, you have controller ports for the NES, SNES, and Genesis controllers. These work with both Hyperkin's clone controllers like the Scout, as well as OEM controllers and other third-party options. At the back of the console, you have all of your outputs for video and power, a USB port, as well as an SD card slot. This allows you to install language patches for Japanese Famicom and Super Famicom games. It's a great option, considering some very expensive and sought-after NTSC games' Japanese counterparts are significantly cheaper. This way, you're still playing on original hardware. Upon startup, the console greets you with a startup screen, then boots you into the Retron 5's menu. This lists all the possible systems as well as settings. Make sure you don't insert more than one cartridge at a time, because this will confuse the Retron and it will yell at you until you take the cartridges out and restart the system. A little annoying, but ultimately nothing more than a minor nitpick. One of the great advantages to playing on the Retron 5 is the built-in save states. When in-game, press down and start on your controller to access the in-game menu. From here, you can save your game, which is particularly handy for those rather difficult games with no save feature, or save features that require you to enter a password or complete a vampire-themed Sudoku puzzle. You can also add different filters from this in-game menu as well. It's always nice to have options on the visuals. Sometimes you just miss those scan lines. You can also add pixel smoothing, which I usually don't prefer on most consoles, but with something like the Game Gear, using that peripheral, it really does benefit on a large blown-up screen to smooth those pixels out. That brings us to the visuals of the console. The Retron 5 is full HD hardware, meaning it outputs in HD instead of upscaling. This will get you the best visuals out of your original cartridges, compared to HDMI converters plugged into original consoles. Those just upscale the original AV or RF video feed. Here, we get to see those gorgeous pixels in full glorious 720p. Besides the save states and visual filters, Retron 5 really doesn't do much different from your original consoles. You may think it a bit superfluous to spend another $200 on a console that just plays games for consoles you already own. But these quality of life changes, in my opinion, more than justify the price tag. When I moved into my apartment for college, I bought my Retron 5, mostly for the convenience of not having that. However, I found that my favorite thing about this console is the save states. It makes jumping back into a game much easier than before. That, paired with being able to play my Game Boy Advance games on my TV, yeah, take my money. Despite being almost 8 years old, the Retron 5 is still going strong. The packaging proudly promotes the highest cartridge compatibility of any console on the market, which is definitely true. The biggest stinker with this product, though, is the Retron controller. The only positive things I can say about this monstrosity is that it's wireless. It has a home button, so you don't have to use the shortcut like with the other controllers. Neither of those things make up for the terrible form factor and overall cheap feel. Hyperkin is usually great at making their third-party controllers and consoles feel premium, but the buttons on this thing are either touchy and clickety or sticky and gummy. The plastic feels cheap, and overall it's just the opposite of ergonomic. Thankfully, this release comes with the Hyperkin Scout, which is my favorite SNES clone controller. Looks great, feels great, and honestly you might as well throw away the loaf of bread anyways. Overall, the Retron 5 is a great system with tons of fantastic quality of life improvements that will transform your retro gaming setup from a nest of devil's snare to a clean and wife-approved area. Mostly.